Okay, so following on from the last video, what I'm doing today is I'm going to take the carbs apart and adjust the float heights, because I can't get the engine to tick over properly. It runs fine, but it's not right. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm going to start with the carbs because it's something strange. It's affecting all cylinders. So it's not just like a block carb or something like that. It's something that affects all the carburetors or all the cylinders or all the ignition, but it's probably the carburetors. So anyway, the only thing I can think of to begin with is take the carbs apart and adjust the float heights. Maybe the float heights are too low. I mean, I'm not a big float height person generally, but I'm just trying to think of something that affects all three carbs at once. And the only thing is, the float heights, I just don't know. So anyway, I'm going to do that, take the carbs off, do the float heights, come back and see how we are from there. Right, so I've got the carbs apart, and what I'm doing is I've decided I'm going to try and adjust the float level so that the float, the needle closes when the float's a bit higher, so there's more fuel in the float bowl. So what I've done is these tangs, I've just bent them slightly so that this is the needle that shuts the fuel off, so that when there, so the float, when it rises, it now shuts that needle down later. So I don't know if you can see the angle here. I can't really see the camera that well, but it's, the float is much higher now in the float bowl before it shuts the fuel off. I'll try that anyway. I'll do that with every I'm going to do that with every carb and see if that makes a difference. I can't find anything else wrong with the carburetors, and I must say I'm scratching my head a bit because the bike won't tick over. We'll put the carbs back on and see if that makes a difference. It's one of those where it's going to be sort of trial and error and trying to use all the clues I can from what's happening with the engine as to what the problem is. But you know, they're never easy, they're never straightforward. It's not like I've broken something, you know, where you go, oh, that's broken, I need to replace it. This is just one of those unknowns. And let's hope, anyway, let's hope that moving these float levels up will sort things out. We'll see. Right, I'm going to repeat this process. All I've been doing, by the way, is I've just literally bent the tangs up. So I don't know if you can see, but the tangs are now slightly bent up from the horizontal, so that the float has to go higher before it shuts the needle off. So that's what I'm doing on all three now. So I did all that. I put the carbs back on, and the bike ran. Well, I've started now. It's great, but the carbs were overflowing. The carbs were leaking fuel because I've overdone the float height. So the carbs were filling full of fuel and overflowing before they could shut off. So they were just running fuel the whole time. So I've had to take them off again, and I put the float levels back to where they were. Why? Because when I took it off the first time, I did the float levels, but also there was a slight problem with the gantry, with the way that the throttle was working. And so I resynchronized the carbs to make sure they're all opening, and I don't know, I honestly don't know what it was. There was something to do with that throttle cable. I couldn't tell you that, oh, that was stuck on that. I honestly don't know, but it now is a completely different engine. It runs perfectly. It was something, it wasn't the float levels, which I've now put back to where they were originally, but it was something to do with the throttle slides and that, and exactly what I honestly I don't know. But I'll start it up now, and hopefully you'll be able to see the difference. It might not tick over exactly because it's not that warm. I'm going to try not tickling it. No, blimey. Hey, one thing after another. Anyway, yeah, it's now running properly like it should. You know, I say it was something to do with the throttle. I honestly don't know what it was, but it's great now. However, I was just running it then, you know, just to show that how good it was running. And I looked down, and there's oil peeing out the bottom of the engine. What is it? It's that oil pressure switch again, but it's not leaking from where the pressure switch screws into the engine. It's actually leaking out through the switch. There's actually it's a faulty switch, and it's you know, I've checked it. It's not leaking from where you screw it in. It's actually coming out the down end of the switch. So God, so I'm gonna have to take all that off again and try and get a replacement switch. Oh, that's just annoying. I don't mind doing it once. I've got to do it twice now. So yeah, it's absolutely peeing out there. But I mean, that's a little thing that can be mended. The main thing is that, you know, I had a slightly sleepless night last night because I'm thinking, well, what can this be that it's not ticking over? You know, but you know, it was something to do with the gantry, with the throttle slides, with the throttle cable. I just don't know, but it's great now. So I can tune it now and so on. But obviously the first thing I've got to do is to get a new oil pressure switch before I can do all that. So what I'll do is I will check the torque on the head gasket, retorque the head gasket and do the tappets because I won't be able to order a new switch until Monday, so the earliest it's going to come is Tuesday. Okay, well there we go. But good news that I've sorted a bit out. Neighbours again. I'm sorted a bit out on the engine, which I'm really pleased about because I've been a bit worried why it's not been running, you know, and it's great now. So that's something. Good news. It's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Normal thing, you know.